Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. All together, please. Om Jnana Tamarandasya Ganandana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stavitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yukta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raganatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvetam Savadutam Prijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padang Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha He Krishna Karana Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapcha Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Prishabhana Sutadevi Pranamami Hari Priye Panchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. So, reading from Srimad Bhagavad-Gita as it is, translation and commentary, His Divine Grace Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Today's verse, verse 31, chapter 13, Bhagavad-Gita, entitled Nature, the Enjoyer and Consciousness. Please repeat. Yadā bhūta-pṛthak-bhāvam eka-stham anupaśyati tata eva cha vistāraṁ brahma sampadyate tadā. So, word for word, please repeat. Yadā, when. Bhūta, of living entities. Pṛthak-bhāvam, separated identities. Eka-stham, situated in one. Anupaśyati, one tries to see through authority. Tata eva, thereafter. Cha, also. Vistāraṁ, the expansion. Brahma, the absolute. Sampadyate, he attains. Tadā, at that time. Translation Srila Prabhupada. When a sensible man ceases to see different identities due to different material bodies, and he sees how beings are expanded everywhere, he attains to the Brahman conception. Please repeat. When a sensible man ceases to see different identities due to different material bodies, and he sees how beings are expanded everywhere, he attains to the Brahman conception. Purport Srila Prabhupada. When one can see that the various bodies of the living entities arise due to the different desires of the individual soul and do not actually belong to the soul itself, one actually sees. In the material conception of life, we find that someone, a demigod, someone, a human being, a dog, a cat, etc. This is material vision, not actual vision. This material differentiation is due to a material conception of life. After the destruction of the material body, the spirit soul is one. The spirit soul, due to contact with material nature, gets different types of bodies. When one can see this, he attains spiritual vision, thus being freed from the differentiations like man, animal, big, low, etc. One becomes purified in his consciousness and able to develop Krishna consciousness in his spiritual identity. How he then sees things will be explained in the next verse. Makam karochi vachalam pangam laite girim yat kripatamaham bande Sri Guru Nidatarinam. Yadā bhūta-pṛthag-bhāvam eka-stham anupaśyati tata eva cha vistāraṁ brahma sampadyate tata. When a sensible man ceases to see different entities, identities, due to different material bodies, and he sees how beings are expanded everywhere, he attains to the Brahman conception. So here's Krishna. Krishna has given so much knowledge earlier in the chapter, but now he's explaining to Arjuna how to use this knowledge, how to change his material vision to the Brahman conception. Generally, we see people just like I was in the temple 10-20 minutes ago, half an hour. So there's lots of people there. So we see man, woman, young, old, this one, that one. We just react to the body. But we don't see that within the body, or we don't see even philosophically, that within the body there is a spirit soul. And this is what Krishna is talking about here. He says here, don't see those different identities, Arjuna, due to the material body, different bodies, but see how beings are expanded everywhere, how spiritual beings are expanded everywhere, how the spirit soul is expanded everywhere, even in the body of a dog, or a hog, or a monkey, or a mosquito. So this is the material situation, that we are locked into material vision. That means we see material things. We don't see the background of spirit. Thank you. Which is the real vision. Because matter rests upon spirit. Krishna is present everywhere. As Krishna explains earlier, the super soul is expanded everywhere, and Arjuna has already seen that in chapter 11. He's seen the universal form, and that Virat Rupa, that is the activities of the Paramatma, pervading all time and all space, all situations, all living entities within the material world. He's seen that. So he has seen how Krishna is beyond the material, but he is regulating the material. So similarly, the living entity, he is beyond the material body, but he's situated within the material body. Just like the driver in a motor car. He is not the motor car, but he's situated within the motor car. He's superior to the motor car. The motor car is his yantra, his machine. There's that verse later on, Ishvara Sarvabhutanam Hriday Se Arjuna Tistati, that the Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, and he's directing the wanderings of all living entities who are seated as if on a machine made of the material energy. So this material body, it's made of the material energy, And Krishna is directing the spirit soul. Everything is resting upon Krishna at all times. Sutre mani gana iva. So this is the Brahman vision, and this is what Krishna is telling Arjuna. Hey Arjuna, pull out of this vision which we saw at the beginning of the Gita. Arjuna was seeing, oh, this is my uncle, this is my cousin, this is my teacher, this is my friend, this is my enemy, this is my foot soldier. He was seeing all the material entity. He wasn't seeing on the material platform. And so his mind was bewildered, confused. What can I do? He wasn't seeing with the eye of knowledge or the eye of realization. He was just seeing the material energy. So this is the material condition, that we are just seeing, oh, this person is young, this is old, this is friend, this is enemy, and we're within the material energy dealing with this situation, trying to get some benefit from it. Ishvara sava bhūtānaṁ. We're trying to be Ishvara. This chapter is nature, the enjoyer and consciousness. So we're trying to enjoy. What is nature? There are two natures. There is Prakriti and Para-Prakriti. Apara and Para-Prakriti. There is the superior energy, which is spiritual, the Chit Shakti, it's conscious, and then there's the Apara, the unconscious, the material energy. So the living entity belongs to the Para-Prakriti, but he is identifying with the Apara. He's thinking, I'm a material product, I'm from this material place, this material country, this material family, this material situation. And when he looks in the mirror, he thinks, this is me. He doesn't think, I'm a spirit soul, I'm Angsa, Mabhai Vangsa Jiva Loke. He doesn't think I'm part and parcel of the Supreme. My real identity is as his servant, Dasudas, Anudas. He just thinks, I'm the servant of me, this body, and the extensions of this body, my family, my society, my country, the world. He just sees in that way. So Arjuna now is being told, don't try to be the enjoyer of this material world, because this material world, it is inferior and it is different from you. You are an eternal spirit soul. You have a swarup. You have a spiritual form. You have a spiritual home. You're meant to engage on the spiritual platform with Krishna, with Krishna's devotees. And Krishna is the enjoyer of the material and spiritual. So that is, enjoy means Purusha, and enjoyed means Prakriti. So there's two natures, spiritual and material. The spiritual can be divided into the Purusha, the expansions of Vishnu through Balaram, from Krishna. And then there is the Prakriti, or the Shakti Tattva, expanded through Radharani. And then there is the Jiva Shakti, all the individual spirit souls. They are Tatastha Shakti. They can go in the material energy, and then they think, I'm a Purusha, I'm the enjoyer. They think, I'm going to lord it over this material energy and enjoy it. I'll lord it over through work. This is karmavad. Okay, I'm a man in this world. How will I avoid problems and gain some happiness? By work. I'll get a job. I'll work hard at a business. I'll succeed in that way. And then there is the jnani that thinks, how will I understand this world. How will I? He may be on a more subtle plane. The karmi is on the bodily conscious. I'll work hard with this body. But the jnani is thinking, by thinking I'll gain knowledge, and in that way I'll enjoy and I'll avoid suffering. So he is thinking, maybe this world is this, maybe this world is that, maybe it's come from a big bang, maybe it's always been here, maybe we should have communism, maybe we should have capitalism, maybe we should have globalism, maybe we should be stoic because there's suffering and just stop reacting. So he's trying to use the mind. The karmi wants to work hard in a factory or get a job or a factory or open his own business. The jnani is using the mind, because these are the two parts of the body. But the spirit soul in material consciousness is trying to use the mind and body, and a combination of them, or a balance this way or that of them, to avoid suffering condition and get in what he considers an enjoying condition. So he goes around in this world, bouncing around, trying to find some fruitive idea. Therefore, in the 5th canto of Bhagavatam, you'll see the analogy is given that the spirit soul, he comes into the material world and he is compared to a businessman or a tradesman. He enters the forest means the material world, and he's going in the forest and he's looking for some profit. I'll go mining and I'll find some gold. I'll get some firewood. I'll get some fruit from the trees. I'll gather some grains, some vegetables, and with them I'll make a profit. So the spirit soul is like that in the material world. I'm coming in the material world and I'm going to in the material forest. This is Vrindavan. This is the forest of devotion. But I'll go into the material world and I'll get some fruit by my labor and my exertions. And in that way, I'll gain a profit. And once I've got a profit, I'll enjoy. But then there's a different things going on. In the distant, he hears the roar of a tiger. In the streams, there's a crocodile. There's an elephant trumpeting, and so on and so forth. And there's many crows. And there's many mosquitoes, and all those, you can read them in the 5th canto, is very interesting. They all represent something, like I believe the elephant is bellowing, so that is death is coming, death is coming. And the tiger is roaring, there's going to be some attack on him physically, and the mosquitoes, they're irritating him. But he's ignoring all that, because he wants to get that fruit, he wants to get that, he wants to find some diamonds, he wants to dig a hole and get some gold and make a profit and enjoy. So he's trying to be the Purusha. Right? It says here, nature, the enjoyer, which means Purusha, that means he's trying to be the enjoyer of the material energy. So he is actually, as we said, he is Jiva Shakti. He is Prakriti. So the Prakriti and the Purusha. Purusha means predominator, that's the Supreme Lord. Prakriti means the predominated. Just like in a material way you can say, the man is the husband is the predominator, the enjoyer of the wife. Of course now we have feminism. So women are saying, we want to be the predominator. We don't want to be predominated. We want to be equal to the man. Or we're better than the men. Right? This is Kali Yuga. But generally speaking, the man, he is bringing home the salary, looking after the house. The woman is serving the husband, serving the children, cooking in the house. So, of course, she doesn't want, in the material world, now Kali Yuga, the woman, we want to be the Purusha. We want to be the enjoyer. We don't need men anymore, so on and so forth. So this is a distortion even of material relationships. But the Purusha is the Vishnu expansions, and the predominated is the expansions from Srimati Radharani. But so they are Shakti Tattva, whereas Krishna is Shaktiman. He is the possessor of energy, and the energy is the possession of the possessor. Just like you can say that the sun is the Purusha, and the sunlight is the Prakriti. It is the energy of the sun. So which is superior? The sun. As soon as the sun isn't there, then the sunlight is gone. So the sunlight is emanating the sunlight. And so that is Purusha, that is the source. So therefore, in the Vedanta Sutras, first it says, Atato Brahma Jignas, but then what is Brahman? Brahman Janmadi Asyata, he is the source. And therefore the Srimad Bhagavatam starts in the same way, Janmadi Asyata. So the supreme source is the supreme predominator. He is the supreme person. But in the material world, the forgetful living entity, the ignorant living entity, wants to be the predominator. So instead of being Prakriti and being predominated by the Supreme Lord, he wants to predominate. And the archetype is Ravana, right? Ravana wanted to control the whole universe, and he wanted to enjoy Mother Sita. So Mother Sita is the energy of Ram. Radha is the energy of Krishna. So Ravana couldn't touch Sita. So there's instruction in that the living entity, when he tries to predominate, he never actually enjoys. He never becomes the predominator. Rather, he becomes predominated, instead of by Krishna, he becomes predominated by the material energy. Lokoyam karma bandhana. He thinks, I'll become the controller of the material world and I'll enjoy the material world, but then birth, death, old age, disease comes along, slaps him in the face and says, you're not the predominator, you're not the enjoyer. Instead of being reciprocating with Krishna, you are reciprocating with them, trying to master me. But I'm Prakriti, I belong to Purusha, Krishna. So you are a little Ravana, so now you must be slapped. So in the material world, everyone is a little Ravana. They're all trying to say that I am the controller of this department of material energy. There's that verse. What does Ishopanishad says? Ishuvasya idam sarvam yat kinchat jagajam jagat tena taktena bunjita magrida kashasvitdanam. Everything within animate and inanimate, conscious and unconscious, within the material world is controlled and owned by the Supreme Lord. So, the living entity is trying to be the Purusha, but he's claiming this is my land, my country. Just like yesterday, I think it was, yesterday, I went to the petrol station and I was filling the tank, of course, motorbike, and the attendant said to me, "Aapka desh kya hai?" I said, "Mera desh, sab desh mera hai." But then I said, Sab desh Bhagwan ka hai. Huh? Actually, every country is ours, because we can claim that yes, Sarva desh mera hai. Why? Because they belong to the Father. And so the Son can say, I have a right to enjoy the Father's property, right? The children are saying in the house of the Father, they can say, yes, this is my house. So we can say, yes, this is Sabdesh Mera hai. But then, why is all these countries belonging to us? Because they're Bhagavan Kadesh. He is the owner of everything. So then the attendant was saying, I see him often when I go to the same petrol station near Gurud Govind. So they often ask me questions. So he said, yes, Sab desh Bhagwan ka hai. So then I said, the problem, muskil hai, sab log bol rahe, ye mere desh, ye tumhara desh, ye tumhara mere desh, and they're fighting. But actually, Suridam Sarva Bhūtānaṁ, what is it? Savaloka Maheshwaram, Krishna says. I am the Ishvara of all loka, of all country, all expansion, material and spiritual. They all belong. Ishvara Sarva Bhūtānaṁ. But we are claiming that this is mine. But we can claim, bearing in mind, yes, this is my motorbike, this is my house, this is my dhoti, even my body, my mind. But we should understand that really, in the ultimate analysis, it belonged to Krishna. Right? You can say it's my dhoti, don't wear it, don't take it from me. But I have to always remember that it belonged to Krishna. So this is proper application of spiritual knowledge. See, and this is what Arjuna is saying here. Don't see these material identities, Arjuna. See the soul. So yes, this is mine, this is yours, but behind it all, the man of knowledge knows actually everything is belonging to Krishna. So Bhakti Vinod Thakur, he wrote that song, right? Manasa deha geho yokiso, right? My mind, my body, my griha, my material paraphernalia, all belong to you, Krishna. I surrender it all to you. So that's Atma Nivedanam. Navadveda Bhakta. Number 9 is Atma Nivedanam. You just surrender everything to you, Krishna. Everything is yours. So that is spiritual vision. That is spiritual consciousness. That this is my body, but really this body belongs to Hrishikesh. This is my mind, but really it belongs to Krishna. So therefore, with Bhakti Bhav, we use the body and the mind for Krishna. Because the karmi, he stresses, I'll work hard with the body. The philosopher, he wants to work hard with the mind. He's the jnani or the muni. But there's more than just that, there's the soul. So the bhakta once says, actually I'm a spirit soul. But as Krishna says, Mavai Vangsa Jiva Loke, Angsa, Mavai Angsa, my Mama Angsa, Krishna is saying, that the spirit soul is mine. So you can say my soul, many philosophers say, my soul, my thoughts, my dreams. But actually, the soul belongs to Krishna in the ultimate analysis. So this is the same idea, looking beyond the immediate. Here, don't look at the material identities because of material bodies, but see how beings, that means spirit souls, are expanded everywhere. And then you will attain to the Brahman conception. And then Prabhupada said, How he then sees things will be explained in the next verse, right? The Brahman conception. So that's a practice. You see, I was thinking, what will I say in today's class? And then I was sitting under the tree and I was thinking, yes, look at all these different people. They're all in the temple. There's thronging of temple, children, grown-ups, but they're all spirit entities. And then I tried to see in that way that they're all spirit souls and they've all got a material body in a certain situation because of karma phal, because of desire and activity. But they're all spirit souls. So then this is training the mind to see in the spiritual way. Just like in the word for word, it was said here, situated, he tries to see through anupaśyati, anu, following the authority, paśyati, he tries to see. So following the shastra, the acharyas, the bona fide guru, following their instruction, paśyati, he sees. So this is practical, that Krishna is giving knowledge, but he's also explaining how to use this knowledge, how to use it so that we see the spiritual platform. And then Prabhupada finishes the verse. How he then sees things is explained in the next verse. Those with the vision of eternity can see that the imperishable soul is transcendental, eternal, and beyond the modes of nature. Despite contact with the material body, O Arjuna, the soul neither does anything nor is entangled. Yes. Yes, so like the motor car, you can say. The driver is in the motor car, but he's a passenger, actually. He thinks he's the driver, but he's really in the back seat. And who is the driver? Who is the charioteer of Arjuna? Yes, Krishna is controlling the chariot. So Paramatma is controlling the body. Through our desire, I am desiring to rise this hand, I am desiring to rise this hand, I am desiring to say this. But that desire is being picked up by Supersoul, and then the demigods are reacting and controlling the material body accordingly. This is the actual systemology. But the soul is sitting in the back seat. All he's doing is desiring. And then the driver, the Paramatma, Krishna, is giving direction to the demigods, and the demigods are controlling the different functions of the body. But the soul in the back seat of the car is thinking, I'm driving. He doesn't see the position of Paramatma. He doesn't see how he is just giving directions to the driver, and then the driver is getting everything done. So this is what Krishna is meaning here. Those with the vision of eternity sees that the soul is transcendental, eternal, beyond the modes of nature, despite contact with the material body. Besides, he's sitting in the back seat of the car. Yes, he's within the material body, in the region of the heart. But his existence also is resting upon the soul. Everything is resting upon the Supreme Lord. The material energy, the soul, the spiritual world, Sutre Mani Gana Iva. Everything is resting. Krishna is Ashraya. And everything is emanated, Ishvasya idam sarvam, Janmadi yasyata, everything is emanated from Krishna. And in the material world, the universes are created through the medium of Lord Brahma. They're maintained through Paramatma. And then when the material creation is wound up, it's destroyed through Lord Shiva. They're the guna avatar. The creation, maintenance, destruction. The material world is created and withdrawn, created and withdrawn, created and withdrawn, created and withdrawn. But the vision of eternal means that the spiritual world is not created and withdrawn, it is eternal. It is beyond the modes of material nature. It's beyond the time factor. It is a different sphere of existence. There is no material time there. There's no material creation, maintenance, destruction. It is a different energy. Here in the material world is a mixture of matter and spirit. But in the spiritual world, everything is conscious. Everything is eternal. So, where do you want to live? Right? Where do you want to live? So we're tataḥ Shakti, we can come in the material world and try and enjoy, or we can transfer to the spiritual world. And how do we do that? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Right? Nitya Siddha Krishna Prem, Sadhakabanai. The prem that everyone has in the spiritual world is dormant within the heart. How is it awoken? Shravanadi, hearing. You're hearing, I'm chanting. Shravanadi, by hearing and the other processes. Hearing about Krishna, describing Krishna, remembering Krishna, serving the deity, archanam, vandanam, offering the prayers like the Brahma Samhita, vandanam dasyam, adopting the attitude that I'm the servant of my spiritual master, I'm the servant of the Vaishnavas, I'm the servant of the Acharyas, dasya bhav. Then sakya, becoming friend as you realize their personalities, and then atma nivedana. So this knowledge is very important. So this knowledge that Krishna is giving is meant to bring Arjuna to that vision of eternity. From that position, Vasudeva Savamiti, Sa Mahatma Sadulabha. So what is that? Mahatmanastamam Patha, Daivim Prakritim Ashrita. That the Mahatma is under the spiritual energy. So that means he has seva bhav, he has prem, he has bhava for the Supreme Lord. In the spiritual world, everyone has prem for Krishna, for Krishna's devotees. Their spiritual form, their spiritual personality is fully developed. So, first step is to see that Brahman, and to get in tune with that. That's why we chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. This combination of hearing and chanting, just like Arjuna is hearing knowledge from Krishna and then chanting, just like when we sing Jai Radha Madhava, we're describing. Kirtan actually means description. So Jai Radha Madhava. All glories to Krishna, the lover of Radharani, Gopijana Balabhaya, beloved of the gopis and the lover of the gopis, Yasoda Nandana, the darling of Mother Yasoda, Brajajana Ranjana, the darling of Braj, Yamuna Tira, he has pastimes of the bank of the Jamuna. So this is describing Krishna. So that is how Shravanadi Sudachitte, the consciousness becomes purified, and then Karide Uday, the prem awakens, you see. So this is, Arjuna is being brought to the spiritual pastime, spiritual platform by the expert spiritual master, Krishna. Krishna is saying, Arjuna, stop worrying about all this friends and enemies and uncles and aunts. This is all the material. Bhishma, as we know from Shastra, is one of the 8 Vasus, right? He came to, Drishtajumna, he has also, there's so many different, now they're on the battlefield in this situation, but that is all temporary. You pay attention to the eternal. You develop the vision of eternality. And I'm giving you the knowledge, Arjuna. And then you will go to the eternal. Instead of taking another material birth, another material birth, another material birth, you'll go to the spiritual platform when you leave this material body. So, thank you very much. Any questions?
As you said, we should not worry about the relationships. Suppose it is our parents. Definitely we are attached to our parents and they are at old age. So, with their sufferings, we should not be attached. We should not feel anything.
No, we should be dutiful. We should perform our material dutifully. But beyond that, we should see that ultimately the spiritual platform. I don't say artificially at some immature stage, give up family, friends. I mean, you may be a mother with children, so you have to be affectionate and loving. You have a nice husband, you have to be dutiful, you have to run the house. He has duties to you, you have duties. No. What does Lord Brahma say? This is in the 14th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto. You know, after the Govardhan Leela, actually Lord Brahma stole away the calves. And then he realized that I'm disturbing the Supreme Lord. He thought, I have great powers, I'll take away. But then he realized this is not just a cowherd boy, this is also the Supreme Lord. So then he gave a series of prayers. And in the prayers he said, Stane shrutikatan tanuvamanobir. Whatever your situation is, you stay in that situation. But you hear about the Supreme Lord. Just like the Kurma Brahma in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, when Lord Chaitanya was traveling in South India, the Kurma Brahmin approached Lord Chaitanya and said, now what shall I do? Shall I give up my home and go traveling with you? Lord Chaitanya said, no. You go back to your village, to your family, and you teach them to chant Hare Krishna. You transform your material situation spiritually. You understand? So you don't run away. We're not saying everyone should live in the temple, shave their head, or go to an ashram for women and become a beggar in Loy Bazaar. No. We say whatever your situation is, stay in that. But stani, shruti, and shruti, hear the Vedic message, you see. Because that is hearing. Hearing is very important. It's the first of the 9. It's the most important. Unless you hear, how can you chant? You have to hear. So, whatever your situation is, you stay in it. But you also, instead of watching I'm not saying you're doing this, instead of watching the television in the evening, you read the Bhagavatam. And then you have a discretion group. In your home you ask your friends to come there and you read the Bhagavatam. This is what Lord Chaitanya told the Kurma Brahmin. You chant Hare Krishna and read Srimad Bhagavatam. Right? Paranaka dunodita. That's the question at Naimisharanya. The sages ask, now the Supreme Lord has gone to his own abode. Where is Dharma? Where is knowledge? Where is... what Supreme Lord has gone? So Krishna Swadharma Pagate Jnana Dana Dabisaha. That yes, Krishna has gone to his own abode, but now he has left the Srimad Bhagavatam. Tomorrow is appearance of Vedavyas, right?
Yeah.
Vedavyas. He's written all the Vedic literatures. And there Krishna is present in the Gita, in the Bhagavatam. So Krishna has remained in the Bhagavatam. So you go and you study the Bhagavatam. This is what Puranaka Adunodita. This is the Amala Puran. It is the purest of the Puranas. There's no Kama and Gyan. It is just Bhakti. So this was the advice given to the sages, Namasharanya. So we follow that. We study the Bhagavatam every day. We have class, right? And we try to develop the vision beyond the material. But that doesn't mean to say but now Lord Chaitanya, he did leave his home and family. But that's because Bhava Bhakti, he was in Prem. He couldn't remain at home because he was in Prem Bhav. But if we try to be imitationist, you understand, and give up our material duties, that is incorrect. We should act according to our own particular situation. We should start from our own position. So we are in this situation, so let's work from that situation. And what does that mean? That means we should hear and chant. We have to pay the electric bill, right? We have to take healthy food. We have to take rest. But we should also study the Bhagavad philosophy. You understand? And then we'll get a vision of eternality. Just like it says here, right? Like Krishna says. Those with the vision of eternity. You see? So through the Bhagavatam, like I was explaining, we get the vision of the spiritual world. We see Vaikuntha. We see Golok within the heart. This is actually an important point, that the devotee sees Krishna within the heart. He sees Golok within the heart. So he reads Bhagavatam, he sees the Leela of Krishna within his heart. And then he performs his material duties. He or she performs his material duties. Does that answer your question? Yeah. Yes.
One more comment on this one.
Huh?
One more comment on this one.
Just like Arjuna actually, he wasn't told go to the forest. He's saying, no Arjuna, now you have vision of eternality, now do your duty. You see? Yeah, go ahead.
So Arjuna was fighting with Kauravas. He knew they are the enemies. Krishna Pita and they were.
Arjuna was what?
He was fighting with the Kauravas.
Kauravas, yeah.
So he knew they are the enemies. But the Pandavas were his brothers. So he knew they are my brothers. So he did not fight with the brothers. He fought with the opposite enemies.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so he did his duty. But you see, by spiritual knowledge, one becomes liberated within the material body. Because the mind always goes to that which is the most attractive, right? If we, say we go in an art gallery and we look at 20, 30, 40 paintings, right? Then we go home and we remember which was my favorite painting. And we think of that favorite one, right? And we go back to the art gallery and we think, this one by Rembrandt, this is my favorite. I like this one the best, right? So whatever we get the most rasa from, the mind goes back to. So the mind naturally rests with Krishna once it is the consciousness, once it's purified and it is seeing Krishna, you see. The problem is in the material world, the people don't know Krishna. So they're always looking for the best thing in the material world, right? So they have Olympic. who is the best runner, or they have a beauty contest, who is Miss India, or they have Euros, which is the best football team. So people are always looking for the best. So if we study Bhagavatam and we associate with devotees, we realize Krishna is the best thing. That's why for thousands of years people have been studying the Gita and chanting Hare Krishna, studying the Vedas. It's the oldest culture in the world, right? It was even before Veda Vyas. He put all the literature down at the beginning of Kali Yuga. But before that, the Vedas was recited in the Brahminical Kshatriya. They used to put big festivals on and recite the Vedas and explain the Vedas. And it's still going on now, just like we are now. We're hearing about the Bhagavad-Gita and you're listening and I'm trying to say something. So this is the Vedic system. And it is now going all over the world, right? We have Bhagavad-Gita on the internet, on Facebook. We have Bhagavad-Gita here and there, and people are listening. This is better than the news programs. This is better than fake news. This is better than all those things, right? Okay?
Regarding this Mataji's question, like artificially, if I heard properly, artificially, like we have relatives, somebody is like father, somebody is like mother. So they have natural affection for the children.
Yeah.
And as you said that we have to just do the duty as material. But material means like we do some like play a role of loving them or something, like knowing that they are separate or they are part and parcel of Krishna. Like how one can like naturally have affection for them and true affection for them. Even for parents.
And that too when they are in a miserable situation. And that too when suppose the parents are in a miserable situation, meaning they are in a miserable situation, meaning they are not into Krishna consciousness. So they are totally under the clutches of Maya. And you can see, blatantly you can see how perturbed they are because they are in the clutches of Maya. And we know the taste of Hare Krishna. We know how we have come out through this Maya. We know how we have been blessed by Krishna's.
Make sure you give them good prasadam. You're the queen of the house. So make sure everything you cook is cooked with devotion, offered with tulsi leaves. That will purify the whole situation.
It's not easy, Prabhu.
It's not easy, yeah.
It's not easy.
Yes, but you have to fight, like Arjuna. You have to think, I have to do my duty. And you're doing the best thing for them. And you just carry on with your own spiritual practice. The children like to hear stories when they go to bed, right? You tell them a story about Govardhan Hill, right? Tell their story about Lord Brahma stealing the cowherd boys. You tell the story about Krishna, the cowherd boys, they were hungry and they went to the Brahmins. But the Brahmin said, "Oh Krishna, go away. We're busy doing our yajna." And then the cowherd boys went to the wives and they said, "Oh, Krishna's hungry, take everything. We'll leave a little bit for the yajna." So you tell them stories. Just tell them stories. Don't try to force. You know, you're a mother, right? Children don't like to be forced. If you try to force children, they, why is this forcing? Just like now, government is trying to force us You've got to take this, you've got to do this, you've got to stay in the house, you've got to wear. People don't like that, because the nature of the soul is to be free. Just like in Russia, they tried forcing people to be communist, but the people threw it off. It's too horrible. But Prabhupada never forced devotees, but he just gave them a chance. Chant, read the Bhagavad-Gita, take prasad, like that. You see, that is a common mistake. Not just every person in the material world is trying to force the other, like Ravana or Duryodhana. I'm the big controller, I'm the boss. They try to by force. But in the spiritual world, how are people controlled? By love, right? The mother is controlled by the love of her children, right? And then the children love her back. Mistakes were done within ISKCON where they tried to force the children to become Krishna conscious. No, you have to let people get the taste. So that how Prabhupada was. He never forced anyone, but he just had kirtan. He told them the Chaitanya Charitamrita stories, and then and he gave people gulab jamun, and they became attracted. People aren't attracted to things force. Just like people want to choose their own football team, and then they love their football team. But you can't force, you've got to love Chelsea, an English football team. The father, no, I'm going to be a Tottenham Hotspur fan. They'll rebel. Don't tell me what I can do. I'm free. I'm a spirit soul. Krishna is free. You see, the materialists, they don't believe in the soul. So they think they can change the genetics or change the behavior by giving drugs or some electromagnetic force. But actually the soul is never changed, it's suppressed, but it will always come back. So just don't force, just let things develop naturally. Do you see my point? Forcing people is never a good idea. Instruction is better.
When you take care of, let us say, children or parents, then one can do genuinely. It's not like artificially one can do. Like one can act of loving, one can act as if like caring of somebody.
Oh, but that's your earlier point, yes. No, if you chant Hare Krishna and you're making progress spiritually, you'll become more loving, you'll become more kind to your children, because you'll see more spiritually. In the material world, the soul is asleep. It's like a seed that hasn't sprouted. It's not really showing its glories. It's not showing the plant, the flower, the fruit. You understand? So, it is a mistake to think, this is the impersonal contamination, that when I become spiritual, then I'll become dead to the world. I won't care. I won't care about the children. I won't care about my parents. I'll just be. No, that's the Mayavadi impersonal idea. You understand? No, Prabhupada wasn't like that. Prabhupada was full of love and concern. So the awakened soul is more loving, more compassionate, you see. You understand? So even though you've got wife and children, you love them more. Your love will expand. You understand?
This you said 4 Chaturvyuha, Sankarsana.
That was last week.
Yeah. You said also there are functions. No? Pradyumna is for thinking, I think you said.
Activity. Thinking, feeling, willing, activity.
So, can you repeat which one corresponds?
Well, first one, Vasudeva. Thinking. That means the soul is functioning, it's conscious, it's aware, right? That's the first function of consciousness. We're aware. But we're also, in the middle of that awareness, is the sense of self. I am aware. I'm not just consciousness, but I'm an identity within that awareness, right? So that is Sat. But so the soul is thinking, it's conscious. But then feeling, that is Shankarshan. That is also Guru Shakti. He is interpreting his consciousness, right? I wake up and then I'm aware. But then I think, I didn't sleep so bad, so good. I've got a bit of a headache. I must have twisted my neck. So I'm aware, but I'm also looking at my consciousness. I'm evaluating it, right? So that is Shankarshan aspect of consciousness. Just like you're listening to me, and you're conscious of what I'm saying, but then you're considering, what's he talking about? What's the idea? Thinking, feeling, or consideration, interpretation. And then sankalp, vikalp. I say something and you think, sankalp, that's good. That's a good idea. But then you might also think vikalp. Oh, that's nonsense. I don't believe that. He's a fool. Right? So sankalp, vikalp. Do you understand? Vasudeva, Shankarshan, Pradyumna. So you're conscious, you're interpreting, and then you're deciding, making decisions. And then on the basis of that you're making action, like a mental action. Oh, I don't agree with what he said, I reject that. So that's an action. It may be within the mind, or you may think, I'm not staying here, I'm leaving. And you walk out. So you have an action, right? So that is aniruddha. So this is the 4, thinking, feeling, willing, action. And these, they all rest on Krishna, but not Krishna directly, you can say. Krishna expands as the Chaturvyuha. And he regulates, just like we were saying in the class, everything is resting upon Krishna. We are existing because we're resting, our existence is resting upon Krishna. He's the ashraya, he's the shelter. Our thinking is resting on Krishna. Our feeling or consideration, interpretation, evaluation is resting upon Krishna. And then our acceptance and rejection, that's our free will, our decision. That's resting upon Krishna. And then our actions that we perform. Right? I wake up, I've got a headache. I don't like this. I'm going to go to the doctor. Thinking, feeling, willing, action. You see? So that's all taking place within the sphere of consciousness. But it is all, so Krishna is resting. That ability to do that is dependent upon Krishna. You understand? This is what the vision of eternality. Everything is resting upon Krishna. Just like now in the conspiracy world, they think maybe the bankers are controlling everything. Or maybe the Illuminati are controlling everything. Or maybe it's the globalists. Or maybe it's the Jesuits. Or maybe it's the black nobility. But no, this is all external, behind everything, everything is resting upon the Supreme Lord. And He is allowing people in the material world to perform their activities, but they're also getting their result. So everything is resting upon the Supreme Lord in the form of Paramatma. And He's expanded to govern everything as Vasudev Shankashan Pradyumna Adiruddha. But we think, oh, I'm a spirit soul, my existence is independent. But no, it's dependent. Just like the sunlight, it's dependent on the sun. If the sun isn't there, where's the sunlight? So we're the Shakti, we're Jiva Shakti. We're the sunlight. Krishna is the sun. If the sun shuts down, the sunlight's gone. So everything we're doing, everything the materialist is doing, all the material energy, all the laws of matter and physics are resting upon Krishna. That is the vision of eternality. So therefore, the devotee trains himself to see that original point. Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadir Adir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. He's Anadir, He's the source of all people, He's the cause of all causes. Krishna in the Gita said, Matak Parataram Nanyad Kinchid Asti Jananjaya. There's nothing beyond me. I'm the efficient cause. So that is the object of contemplation for the bhakta. So we'll finish on that point. Thank you all very much for your kind attention. See you next Friday. Srimad Bhagavad-Gita Sadhusanga Srila Prabhupada Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Srila Sanatana Goswami Srila Vedavyas Ki Jai.